contracted and colonized. The global exploitation of African American music. Let's be clear, African American music became the soundtrack of the world. But the world didn't get that sound from us. They got it through European hands. As early as the 1910s, European and European American institutions began using African American music as a global export, a tool of cultural prestige, propaganda, and profit. Not because they loved us, not because they respected us, but because they saw something they could sell. During World War I, the U.S. Army sent the Harlem Hellfighters Band, led by James Reese Europe, into Europe, not just to fight, but to perform. Their music, ragtime, early jazz, and blues, stunned the European audience. It was alive, spiritual, bold, and it was black. From that moment forward, Black American music was globalized, but not by us. White-owned record labels, white promoters, and white diplomats took the wheel. They booked the shows, they printed the contracts, they collected the royalties, and they set the terms. Meanwhile, the creators, black musicians, singers, dancers, drummers, and poets were often underpaid, undercredited, undervalued, or overexploited. Minstrelsy was the first export. Let's rewind even further. Before jazz went global, before blues crossed oceans, white minstrel performers were already taking our image overseas. White men in blackface pretended to be black, singing caricatured versions of our songs, dancing mockeries of our movements. They toured Europe and Australia in the late 1800s and early 1900s, laying the foundation for the idea that blackness was a product to be consumed, not a people to be respected. Jazz became the world's music, but on white terms. By the 1920s, the jazz age was in full swing. Josephine Baker had to flee America's racism to find stardom in France, where she dazzled the world. Black American jazz musicians filled clubs in Paris, London, and Berlin, but rarely owned their masters or their venues. White band leaders, like Paul Whiteman, were called kings of jazz, while black artists were often barred from certain hotels, concert halls, and even recording opportunities. White men made millions replicating the music that was created in the churches, street corners, and juke joints of Black America. By the 1950s, black sound was the global standard. Then came blues, rhythm and blues, soul, and rock and roll. Artists like Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, and Fats Domino invented the foundation of modern pop. But it was Elvis Presley, a white man imitating their sound, who became a global superstar. The British invasion brought bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones to global fame, riding on the backs of Black American blues musicians like Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf, whom they openly cited as influences but rarely paid homage to in economic terms. African American music became a passport for white performers. But for the original creators, the doors remained locked. The consequences of cultural contracting. For nearly a century, African Americans have been contracting our culture to white-controlled industries as a means of escaping poverty. Music became our escape hatch, but the ladder out was built by someone else. The European American didn't just sell our sound to the world, they force-fed it. They turned African American art into a global brand, a brand exported by the very system that oppressed us. And when that art reached other nations, other diaspora communities, and non-black audiences, it carried with it a strange contradiction. It was black in form, but white in presentation. It was rooted in trauma, but marketed as trend. It was ours in spirit, but theirs in ownership. And this has led to a difficult truth. Some people in the diaspora resent us, not because we sold out, but because they only ever saw us through a white lens. Our culture was delivered to them as a product, not a people, as entertainment, not identity. But let's be clear, this is not our fault. We didn't colonize our culture. We didn't ask to be commodified. We didn't build the stage. We were just trying to eat. The legacy of cultural contract. So here we are, 100 years deep into this dynamic, still singing from contracts, not covenants, still performing under systems, not in sovereignty, still famous worldwide, but often powerless at home. Our music became the global default, but our people are still treated as expendable. And that, right there, is the tragedy. We've been the voice of the world without ever being granted our own microphone.
Hit subscribe, turn on the bell. This ain't content, it's clarity. Kojo Maati breaks the spell of empire with every post, every line, every truth. History, power, spirit, all decoded. Don't just watch, wake up. Follow Kojo Maati across all platforms. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, wherever truth still echoes.